Hello, YouTube. Welcome to the train wreck. This is Brian, and I'm here, Brian Random Thoughts. Today, I want to touch base on something that's going to be a little heavy, and you have to excuse me because I'm a little gassy. Um, it's been a bad day. Today would have been Dad's birthday, 78th birthday, and so what I wanted to do today was come to you and kind of give you some of the lessons I guess I learned from Dad, and try to not make this an emotional mess because it's been extremely difficult because I kind of committed myself to this topic. It's been extremely difficult for it not to be that way. And it's been a while since Dad passed, and about a year and a half, and or more. Uh, the you, how do I want to say this? Let me take a drink. Let's say this with some alcohol because we all know there's truth in wine. And so the thoughts that I had on Dad was, there's entire aspects that you cannot, they're not replaceable. So you can't, there is no finding someone to fill that role. So what you're left with is working with the information they gave you. And it was a lot. Um, Sorry. This is a bad idea. Um, Woo! Dad was the only person I knew who never got tired of the question, why? So, if you ever ever had the misfortune of having to train me to do something, you will understand how annoying that is. Um, oh my God, Mom, man, wow. Uh, uh, she died with a full head of hair, and that's not because of me. Um, I just wanted to know. It didn't matter. It didn't matter what the topic was. If you expressed any knowledge on the topic, I expected you to know everything. So why that? Why that? Why that? Why that? Well, obviously nobody has all the answers, and Mom would get after about the third why, she was pretty much like freaking done with my shenanigans. But Dad, it was infinite. So what I learned is patience. Sorry, with my kids because of the importance of being heard. And it wasn't as much about the question as it was being taken seriously. Now, first world problems, right? Um, I don't even know how to word this, but uh, for most of my life, I have looked younger than my age, and that's a huge pain in the ass. Okay, huge, huge. It doesn't matter, and it was almost one of those where I felt like I had to walk around with my ID on my forehead because no one ever believed that I could possibly know what I knew because they didn't believe that I was the age that I was, and it was very frustrating. And one of the things I think, like family in general, should give you, what they should give you what they should give you is a place of acceptance. And that this gets thrown around a lot, um, which for good or for better or for worse, is more understood that it is important to feel like that who you are is okay. And so you you should be able to get that from your family. And they don't have to agree. Okay? They don't. Um Mom used to get so freaking mad at me. She'd be so mad. I would make major life decisions and I never consulted them because I felt like that I had been instructed properly and that I knew what their answer was going to be. And I was going to do what I was going to do. And I remember, I remember it was so funny. Um, Mom was, I'm trying to remember right. Yeah, because uh, she was having issues. It wasn't as bad as it was the last few years, but Mom was not her normal self, and she was not up and about. She had an issue with her foot, and so she was pretty much bedridden. And so decided at 40 years old to go to hair school. So I'd already signed up. Everything was done. I had my start date and all that stuff. And so I sit down and I remember telling Mom, I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm starting hair school." And she's like, "I don't think that's a good idea." I was like, "Well, a little late for that because they've already got my money, so that's happening." So she just about freaking like blew a gasket. I made Mom blow a gasket almost every conversation we had. Um, Mom and I had a very special relationship. We only talked about certain things. There was a whole. There was only certain topics that we were allowed to that we could talk about with each other because we had like wildly varying pictures of reality. Um, and I wasn't willing to just like let it go. A lot of people are just willing to let it go. I unfortunately am like, you're not going to tell me, you're not going to pee on my shoes and tell me it's raining. I'm not going to tolerate that. Sorry, that's gross and disgusting. I wasn't expecting to be a freaking big crybaby today, but with Dad, there was an issue that came up that was a major issue. It was a major issue in my family and based in our belief system and how we were raised. This is a major, major, major effing issue. Okay, this was like you can't get any more major of an issue. And I remember trying to explain to Mom the misunderstanding of how that she wasn't really didn't really understand what I was actually saying, but that in actuality I just believed more. I didn't believe less. I believed more, but coming from a different perspective. Well, so I went through and I explained to her, you know, based on our previous conversations, how what she had understood was incorrect. And I remember Dad sitting there. Sorry, I probably should have. I could just wipe my nose on my shirt, but I mean, I'm just going to do that as soon as the camera stops rolling. But anyway, dogs. My puppies are going crazy. So I remember explaining to Mom, and she, because she was Mom, she had a thought in her head, and it really didn't matter what I said because she had already decided that, despite what I was telling her, that I believed something different than what I believed. And I remember Dad sitting there in a chair, and he goes, "Hmm, that makes sense." And that was it. That was all it took. See, because that was a relationship that I had with Dad. Was We were on the same wavelength, and in your family, if you're fortunate, one there is a member of your family that you are on the same wavelength. I was on the same wavelength as Dad. He got me. He understood my motivation, and when I did something, he knew why I did it without me having to explain it. And it wasn't, unfortunately, because of how, my generation, how our parents were. They were pretty proficient at lying to you about who they were and what they were when they were younger. Where if they would have just told us, then we probably could have avoided a lot of pitfalls. Because it wasn't until I have pretty much my legs underneath me that Dad tells me, goes, "Oh yeah, 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 all that crap you went through when you were younger, yeah, I did the exact same thing." And I'm like, that information might have been nice to know yesterday, but I'm sorry, Adam Sandler. Anyway, the wedding singer. That was what Dad and I had, and I'm not saying it wasn't the same with the other brothers, but I'm just saying for me personally, what Dad and I had was general understanding, and I knew how he was going to react to things, just like he knew how I was going to react to things. It was actually very difficult for either of us to get one over on the other because we are playing the same game. We're playing the same chess game. You kind of get where I'm coming from. So I got to tell you this story here. And I know I'm over my time here, but I'm sorry. Um, these are good stories. So Dad was self-employed, and he made a butt ton of money. He really did. He made a butt ton of money. We had no idea because my mom lived like we were on death's doorstep, and at any moment we're going to be like homeless and destitute, which is good because I still live that way now, and it's how I've been able to survive on almost nothing when no one else could have understood how that was possible. But one of the things that they did at Christmas was they had a again banner year, and so Dad just went for crazy, and so he bought me and my older brother Wayne, who's a pastor, who some of you I know watch him. Wayne, basically our heart's desire. Now he extrapolated this information in the most devious way possible because that's how Dad rolled. Dad would find out information that he wanted months in advance, months. And Dad had a way of determining what was truth. And so he knew that if something was important today, but not a month from now, that it wasn't something that you should spend money on. So what he did was he bought my brother a car stereo that would make your ears almost bleed. Almost, I mean, just about, remove the rear view mirror without any pressure. And if you don't know what that means, then you don't know, then you need to study some high end car stereos because, yeah, when your rear view mirror falls off, it's for a reason. So he bought me a guitar, a Carvin V220. Now, Carvin was a custom brand, still is. It's under a different name now. It's Kiesel now. But anyway, at that time, Carvin was a custom brand. And now we had guitars. We had like, probably 10, 12, 15 guitars in the house at the time. And Dad, I believe he had bought himself an amplifier. If I remember right, he bought himself an amp. And he said, "Hey, Brian, go grab my Carvin from the bedroom." Now, Dad had two Carvins, or at least two Carvins at this time, a double neck made out of koa wood. If you don't know what koa is, you need to go look that up. It's a freaking beautiful piece of wood, 6 string and a 12 string guitar. And then he also had a Les Paul type guitar as well. Now, both of these cases were abnormally wide. A lot of your typical like Jimi Hendrix type guitar is a fairly narrow case. The Les Paul is a wider case. Double neck's a very wide case. So he said, "Hey, go in the bedroom and grab that Carvin case off the bed and bring it in here and let's check this out." So I picked the guitar case up, paying no freaking attention whatsoever to the dimensions of it because I don't know which one it is. And I go in there and open it up, and here is this freaking guitar. Now, just so you know, at the time, Jefferson Starship, they'd renamed themselves Jefferson Starship. They were huge, and the lead guitar player played this freaking guitar. Now, I wasn't that big of a Jefferson playing a Starship fan. I mean, they're a great band, but it wasn't like I had their posters on my wall. But this was a freaking bad A guitar. Well, that's how Dad snuck it in. See, Dad took what he knew my assumption would be, that it is one of his regular carbons, and I wouldn't question it. It stayed out forever. Dad said, I don't know how, I can't remember exactly how long they had actually had the guitar, but it literally sat out in plain view of God and everybody forever, because he knew that I would not think anything about it because there was other guitars with the same brand. See, that's how Dad rolled. Um, Dad was playing chess when you were playing checkers. One thing that Dad taught me, and I'm sorry, I'm going to tell you all these stories, and I'm just going to get this off my chest. So, uh, the deviousness, the deviousness of a Pennington. So, um, we had a service station back when there was still service, when you still waited on people and pumped their gas, checked their oil and all that horse crap. Not horse crap, but you know what I mean. That's just what you did. And so we had a lot of part-time employees, and we had a laundry list of things that needed to be done. We ran a tight ship and we ran a clean ship. It was a service station, but you had to go find dirt. It just wasn't there. That's not how we rolled. Um, Mom come up quite a bit, and she wanted a clean bathroom, and it had to be cleaned. It was cleaned at least twice, minimum of clean twice a day, and on the weekends it's cleaned 3 times a day. We literally had the cleanest bathrooms in town, and we had many, 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 many people tell us that that was the fact. So this is, and Dad was a tell you once kind of person, where he told you once, and you were in trouble if you didn't get that. So what happened was that, Dad would, say, hey, this is what you need to do. And then he would come in the next day, and he would know whether or not you had done it. Now, you could walk into the bathroom. This is the deviousness of my father. You could walk into the bathroom and it'd be clean, and it looked totally spotless, like not a freaking soul had ever walked in it. But he would still know that you hadn't cleaned it. I could not figure out for the life of me how that was possible. The smell, the cleaner didn't linger. There wasn't like stray specks or anything like this, because I know how to freaking properly clean, because, Dad showed me how to properly clean. It looks brand new. That's how you know it's clean, is because it looks like you just installed it. And that's the only time that it's actually clean, is when it looks brand new. That's what I learned from Dad. So here's the other thing that I learned from Dad. I also learned that whenever you put your cleaning supplies on a table on in your wherever you keep your cleaning supplies, you remember how they were positioned. Because what Dad would do is he would take the can of bathroom cleaner and he would sit it a very specific way, so that when he came in the next day, he could stand in that same spot and look at it like freaking something from the Da Vinci Code, or like, the Raiders of the Lost Ark. So he would be able to stand and tell whether or not you had actually moved that can. That's my dad. So he taught me through that and many other examples, how to not be lied to, how to not have people pissing on your shoes and tell you that it's raining. See, when we educate our kids, and then this is what I'll leave you with. When we educate our kids and we talk to them about things that are important, they need to know. They need to know what they need to know when we're gone, because that day's coming. And if you have not taught your kids how to think for themselves, how to support themselves, how to be functioning members of society, you've failed. And I look back now, with him being gone a year and a half, and nothing will replace that relationship. Um, Nothing. I've tried it. Nothing replaces that. Parents, while you have the opportunity, you need to give your kids things that will last. You need to give them lessons that last. You need to give them traits that will last, that will serve them well, that will not make them victims, that won't make them weak, that won't make them cowards, because you need to be strong. You really don't realize how much you rely on your parents, no matter how little you interact with them. You don't realize what kind of an anchor that is. That, for most of us, not all of us, for sure, but for most of us, it is our haven in the midst of the storm. That when everything goes to shit, you can go home. Home's gone. So you have to be able to weather the storm. If it wasn't for the lessons that Dad taught, I was going to say I don't know where I would be, but I do. If it wasn't for watching Dad be a man through things that I couldn't have taken. I mean, he tolerated things that my history has proven that I won't tolerate. But that was Dad. Um, I'll never fill his shoes. One thing I can say for sure is no one will ever say of me what they said of him. He was the last of his breed, apparently, because I've never met anyone like him. And I'm not just saying that because he was my dad, because, I mean, we all have flaws. I mean, I'm not blind. But he taught me to stand up when the world comes against you, which happens a lot, especially when you don't know when to shut up. Uh, but he taught me more than anything to always stand up for what's true and stand up for those who can't stand up for themselves. Many of us are given a gift that not everyone has. And with the gift comes responsibility, like everything. So, I guess in wrapping this up, my challenge to you is take your gift and make it your responsibility. You know, there's a saying that says, only do what only you can do. If you want to find your purpose and you find your destiny, that's where it is. So, all right, guys. To Dad. Love your family while they're here, because they're not here long. No matter how long it is, it's not long. Sorry, folks. All right. I love you guys. I'm going to wrap it up. I'll see you tomorrow night. Please stop in. I'll be back in tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. God only knows what I'm going to do. Hopefully, not cry for 20 minutes. Love you guys. Bye.